For now, just enjoy this amazing channel. It's going to be an awesome show.
So now it brings me to introduce Tord to you. He trained as a body worker with focus on shiatsu and acupuncture to help people with stress and chronic pain, and eventually came to know Helsingeng and his unified mindfulness system. He started teaching this system in Norway in 2008 and has taught mindfulness at the Norwegian Sports Academy for Physical Education teachers, students and teachers in primary school, in corporations, to patients, in retreats, and in many other arenas. So it's very happy of me to introduce our presenter, Tord. Over to you.
Thank you. So I will be sharing a document with you all, which will be my full presentation. So there you go, and you can open this document, and there you will be able to even comment and ask questions there. I'm really excited to share all this information with you. It's there's been a lot of new understandings, both in the field of pain science and in mindfulness the last 20 years, and it's a really exciting field. And yeah, let's just go into it. So I will share my screen with you all. So you can comment on the document by pressing this flag here, if you wish, or you can just make a selection and put in your questions if you like. And you don't need to take notes along the way here. So let's start with some basic pain science. Earlier, people believed that pain was just an input from something. When we had perhaps we were damaged in some way, had some physical trauma to our body. People believed that it was something happening outside, and we were taking in that in the nervous system in some way. And it was like a bell mechanism in the church, was the way that René Descartes talked about it. The idea was that the pain came from the damaged tissue and it was reported to the brain. They saw this as a kind of input, but that's not really how it works. We know from several studies in, for instance, the military hospitals, where people came into surgery and they had been damaged in the front, and they came to the hospital and there was no anesthesia there, no painkillers, and they had to have surgery. And the soldiers reported little or no experience of pain from this surgery. Compared to the hell of being at the front, they were now in a safe situation and people cared about them. And here is also another case where a carpenter came into hospital from having a nail. He had landed on a nail with his foot, and it looked as if the nail was going through his foot, and he had terrible pain, But when they took off the boot, they discovered that the nail had just gone through the toes, not hurting the foot at all. So, and there are many other examples of this. So what we're understanding today is that pain is not input, it is output. And Ronald Melzack has written a lot about this. The way that we create pain in the brain is that we get a lot of input. We have cognitive input and emotions and sensory input. We have all our thoughts, all our ideas, or we are expecting things, we are believing things. This goes into our brain, or perhaps it is in our brain already, and then the brain creates output from all these kinds of inputs. It makes what it thinks is a good decision based on all these inputs, and create outputs. Perhaps it creates pain if it believes that it's the best way to protect the person, or it gives some kind of motor in output. We are perhaps experiencing that we have holding patterns in our body, perhaps. We experience some pain and we raise our shoulders. We experience stress and different kinds of emotions. So this theory is called the neuromatrix model of pain. Oops. Here is the illustration from Melzack's article. I will not go into the details here, but here it is for the ones that want to look more closely at it later. So we now know that all pain is output, and what we feel and think about pain is crucial. And on top of that, there's other levels. So one thing is how we are thinking about the pain. We would call that psychological factors. And we have perhaps inflammation and other kinds of biological factors. And then there are also social factors. So, for instance, there are gender factors, there are social factors. How are you, how connected are you to the people around you? How are you dealing with your work situation or your family situation? So we are calling this the biopsychosocial model. And this also means that since its pain is so complex and has so many levels, relieving pain involves the whole person and their whole situation. And all people are different, they have different situations. And therefore, all approaches must be tailored individually to them. The main challenge in all of this is that when we experience pain, we have a tendency to catastrophize. We believe that the pain is a signal of something catastrophic. It takes up a lot of space in our experience and our minds, and we are perhaps predicting that in the future it will not be better, and this kind of feeds on itself and makes the situation even worse. And this catastrophizing is both in a cellular level and in a psychological level. So on the cellular level, it's like this. Earlier, we thought that we had pain receptors, and this was linked to the earlier idea from Descartes that it was thought that at the end of the nerves there were receptors that were creating the pain, but this is not the case. What we know now is that we have what is called danger receptors or nociceptors, and these nociceptors they are communicating that they believe there is something in the tissue that is dangerous, and it sends signals to the brain, and then the brain decides whether it should make a pain output or not. When we experience chronic pain, the tendency very often is that the body creates more nociceptors in the area where we have had the trauma. And these nociceptors, they are more sensitive, so they make an alarm earlier, and the alarm they create is much stronger than the ones that were there from before. So the body creates more nociceptors, which are sensitive and give a higher alarm. So it's like surveillance cameras that are, these nociceptors are like surveillance cameras. They are overlooking this area. So imagine you're perhaps in a shop with the surveillance cameras, and these cameras are kind of protecting the shop. But then there's someone moving on the street outside the window, and if it's a very, very sensitive surveillance camera, it will go and look at the window, but it's not really danger for the shop. And it's the image is the same for how the body works. So very often in chronic pain, we have this oversensitive cameras, in a sense, that give signals of danger, but there is not really a danger, or the danger is not so bad. For instance, the nervous system is very thirsty for blood. It needs a lot of blood. There is the nervous system is approximately 2% of the body weight, and needs approximately 20 to 25% of the oxygen. So it's really, really hungry for blood. And if it doesn't get the blood, it will give a dangerous signal through the nociceptors. So this is probably why we feel a bit of pain in the morning, because there has been little blood flow. And typically, if you have chronic pain, the places where you have had your trauma, the places with your chronic pain, they will hurt more, but it's not dangerous. It's not a signal of harm. It's just pain. It's kind of a signal that we should move more. On top of that, we have catastrophizing on the psychological level, which means that when we have these pains, the tendency is that we move our bodies less, we get more depressed, we experience shame, loneliness, we seek comfort in unhealthy habits, become more passive in our lives. So here's an illustration of how this often happens. We have a pain experience, and then either we catastrophize, we The system gets fearful, we avoid doing things, and then we get depressed, and then we have a more pain experience, and then the cycle just continues or even gets worse. But it's possible to break out of this catastrophizing. Another problem for many chronic pain patients is post-traumatic stress disorder. And there's a new study from the University of Oslo that shows that every 5th person with chronic pain suffers from PTSD. So if you are re-experiencing trauma through memories, flashbacks, or nightmares, or you experience emotional numbness and you avoid places or people or activities, or you have an elevated state of nervousness, it's a really good idea to seek help. So there's often a social component to PTSD, so it's possible to do your own studies and seek out information on the internet and such. But it's very beneficial to speak with another human being, and especially a professional who knows how to listen and how to interact in the best possible way. And there are many psychotherapists that work with trauma also via video conferencing. And I have been told that this way of working with trauma is surprisingly effective, working via video conferencing, as we are doing now. So, mindfulness, how does it help? First, we need to look at what is mindfulness. I'm using the definition from Shinzen Young, which is that mindfulness is 3 attentional skills working together. They are concentration power, sensory clarity, and equanimity. Concentration is the ability to attend to whatever you deem relevant. Sensory clarity is the ability to track what's happening in the moment. And equanimity is the ability to allow sensory events to come and go without resistance, neither holding on to them or pushing them away. And the purpose of the mindfulness training is to increase the base level of these 3 attentional skills, which means that what you are experiencing in your everyday life is all the time being influenced by these attentional skills. So that means that when you're practicing mindfulness, the point is not to have a silent mind or even to feel relaxed or to feel less pain in your meditation. So that could happen, but that is not the point. The point is that over time, all these attentional skills, they build. They build in the beginning, they build slowly, but they do build. And with training, your base level of these 3 attentional skills increase. And perhaps the most important of these attentional skills, at least in the context of chronic pain, is equanimity. So just to recapitulate, the 3 attentional skills were concentration, sensory clarity, and equanimity. Let's have a good look at equanimity. Equanimity is the ability to allow sensory events to go without resistance, neither holding on to them or pushing them away. Equanimity is not a word that is used a lot in English or other languages for that matter. But it's similar to acceptance, it's similar to non-judgment, non-resistance, non-striving, objectivity, kindness, and love. It's not the same as indifference, apathy, or lethargy, because it means that you are allowing these sensory events to come and go. You are not pushing them away. Indifference. You are staying with them. And increased equanimity is our main tool for reducing catastrophizing, anxiety, depression, and increasing satisfaction and having a more active life. So there's a really, really interesting study and article called Moving Beyond Mindfulness, defining equanimity as an outcome measure in meditation and contemplative research, where some of the researchers have been involved in studying chronic pain with as help for fibromyalgia. So this is very so these people are interested also in this relating to pain. And I will talk about two things especially. The first is that equanimity is a way to regulate our emotions, because when we train equanimity, we learn to be calm and have mental equilibrium when we experience stress and discomfort. And equanimity can also promote a flexible mind in response to new and unexpected conditions. And also that equanimity impacts the time course of emotional responses. So when we experience some kind of emotional or physical stress, with more equanimity, we return more rapidly back to a state of balance. And this is very, very important in how we regulate our emotions, because our feeling states has a tendency to grow and feed upon itself, and through associations and the way that we perceive the different or perhaps we don't perceive it, but we have often several kinds of emotions and not well-defined emotions going on at the same time, and these trigger each other. So the ability to have an emotion and then letting it pass quickly is very, very important for our well-being. And in this illustration, we see that the full line is the response with equanimity. And it's important here that the magnitude of response is supposed to be high when you're healthy. So the magnitude of response when you have a high equanimity is the same as with low equanimity, because we want it to be a full a full biological response to the stress that we are experiencing. If we are not having a full response, which is called a blunted response, when we are perhaps we are dissociating, or we are not, we're not allowing ourselves to be to feel our emotions so much, this can lead to what is called allopathic stress. The stress is contained more in the body, and it leads to more chronic problems down the line. But we want the magnitude to be as high as before we learned to have more equanimity, but learning more about equanimity, training equanimity, the response gets shorter. So what can we expect from a mindfulness practice? When the base level of concentration, sensory clarity, and equanimity increases, it leads to a better experience of everyday life. So mindfulness is strength training for the brain. So the nervous system is strengthened and changes in a good way. Mindfulness suppresses inflammation. It reduces stress hormones and makes it easier for us to move the body, which has a lot of other health consequences. Psychologically and socially, we experience more joy and satisfaction, less pain and suffering. We get a greater ability to change our behavior. We gain greater self-insight, and we get a more friendly and loving attitude. And it opens up for a more fulfilling social life by increasing kindness towards ourselves, reduce shame, reduce social anxiety, and helping to heal trauma. And how do you practice this? So it's the same as with strength training. When you are building muscles, we need weights to build those muscles. And to train attention skills, we need something to focus on. We need some weights to put on our attention skills, something to concentrate on, something to have sensory clarity with, and something to have equanimity with. And we can call this a focus object or meditation object. So the good thing is that this focus object can be whatever we experience in the senses or in the mind. Because we can use the senses as focus objects, we can train mindfulness in all situations. And all meditations are mindfulness exercises that strengthen the attentional skills. All activities where we focus on strengthening concentration, sensory clarity, and equanimity are thus mindfulness activities. Which gives us a lot of options to work with chronic pain. So here is a collection of many different approaches, mindfulness meditation approaches for chronic pain. First, the sitting practices. Friendliness or loving kindness meditation is very beneficial. Developing friendliness and kindness towards oneself and others and all sensory experiences is very useful for dealing with chronic pain. Many people with chronic pain are also suffering from bad self-image, shame, perfectionism, and other ways that they are not friendly with themselves. So this is a very, very good practice. And also working with loving kindness meditation or friendliness meditation creates an attitude of holding unpleasant sensory experiences in a friendly way, and friendliness is very, very connected to equanimity. So by working with people that you're imagining people that you have perhaps problems with, people that make you angry, or you have some kind of negative reaction to, imagining them and and creating friendly emotions towards them. By doing this, we also create a tendency of being friendly towards other negative experiences in our lives. So it has implications outside working with people, working with persons. Another group of sitting practices is mindfulness meditation, where we use the senses as meditation objects. So you can work with the it's very useful to work with the emotional response to the pain, just being with the emotional response. And our thoughts and feelings, which we call focus in. We could also work with the external sensory experiences. In some cases, it's better to not work directly with the pain. You listen to music. You do your meditation practice by listening to music and doing practice with the music, trying to have as much clarity with the different instruments you're listening to, trying to concentrate on just the music and not other thoughts, bringing your attention back to just the music, using the music as your focus object, builds the attentional skills. Or it can be useful to work directly with the pain, just being with the pain, noticing which form it has, how it changes, the qualities, etc. And perhaps it sounds a bit unintuitive to work directly with the pain. You might think perhaps that it will get worse doing that, giving it attention. But in the opposite is actually the case, because you are accepting the pain, you're giving it your full attention, your love and your friendliness. You are holding your pain in equanimity. You are training your equanimity with your pain, and this leads to less catastrophizing, and which leads to focus on change. By focusing on the pain, you will notice that the pain is not constant. The pain is changing, perhaps subtly, but it is changing. It is, the intensity is growing and sinking and sinking, and perhaps even there are small pockets of rest inside the pain if you listen closely. And focusing on rest is also a way to work with it, just focusing on rest. Another way is breathing meditations. There are several ways to do that. I won't go into so many of them. This is a quite well-known practice. Doing nothing can also work for some meditators, which is a practice of not doing anything at all. Just letting everything be just as it is, which is a very deep equanimity practice. But in the end, the most useful meditation is the one that you like best, which makes you actually practice your meditation and train your concentration, your equanimity, and your sensory clarity. And movement is also so important when we're experiencing chronic pain. The tendency is that we move less, and also that our bodies have kind of minimizes the way it moves. We get kind of locked into a limited repertoire of of movements. So by consciously practicing mindful movements, we learn to re-inhabit our bodies. I especially recommend looking into Feldenkrais and somatics. There are some online resources, perhaps best to do with a teacher in a group. But also many kinds of yoga, especially those with a focus on inner experience. And there's even a type of yoga called mindful yoga. Restorative yoga, which is very, it's mostly about rest. And some forms of yin yoga can also be helpful, depending a bit on the teacher. Iyengar yoga is well known for being about working with pain and problems in the body. And there are also other yoga styles. It depends perhaps mostly on the teacher's approach. Tai Chi and Qigong are also good practices for mindful movement. But dance is also great. And it's possible to dance with just very minimal movements if you're in great pain, and combine it with the music meditation. It's great practice. Swimming and water gymnastics. But also here, the physical activity that you like best done mindfully is the best practice. If it could get you into flow state, that is even better. And go carefully and gradually when you are doing this. Learn how much you can train before flare up. This is called graded exposure. You can look into some guidance about how to practice moving your body with pain. The third group of mindfulness practices is what we would call practice in everyday life. Can divide it into two types: micro practices, which is a short meditation practice under 1 minute, and background practice, which is doing an everyday activity mindfully. Some of these everyday practices can be self-care activities, which is also very useful for many people with chronic pain, which is again related to being kind to oneself. And it's possible also to practice mindfulness when you challenge your pain a little, or when you do something pleasurable, increasing the satisfaction with your life, and also when you're doing nothing else, like standing in line or waiting for the bus. So I already spoken about the general guidelines. There are two types of practices. You can turn towards the pain, the discomfort, or you can turn away from it. And experimenting with what works for you is good, and also to work together with a meditation teacher to see if you can adapt the practice to what is best for you. There are special precautions if you have post-traumatic stress disorder. So depending on the kind of trauma, some practices can actually make some mindfulness practices can actually make the trauma worse, because if you're meditating and the trauma comes up in some way, and you are not feeling that it's fruitful, you're just caught in the same bad feelings, it can become a negative spiral. So it's important to find a practice that works for you, and turning away is often very helpful. And it's also useful to learn how to adapt your practice by using a slower tempo, taking breaks, doing shorter sessions. And again, working with a trauma-informed therapist and or meditation teacher can be very, very helpful. There's an article there also with more details about how to how to work with and around PTSD. So, which brings us to the practice today. We will do loving kindness or friendliness meditation because it has so many useful implications for our chronic pain. I will stop the share actually. So it's a very good idea when you practice loving kindness meditation to be friendly to ourselves in the way we sit. So in some meditation practices, we are supposed to sit in a strict way, and that's not so important when we're doing loving kindness meditation. Finding a way to sit that feels more comfortable, and it can be useful to hold the hand on the heart, and just settling in a bit, closing the eyes. And well, there are many ways to do loving kindness meditation. And today we will begin by cultivating, by creating loving kindness towards a friend. So sometimes we begin loving kindness meditations with ourselves, but this time let's start with a friend. Many people find it more easy to start with a friend, or it could be another person that it's easy for you to have friendly feelings and thoughts about. So perhaps it's a child, or perhaps it's an animal. Perhaps it's a teacher, someone who makes it easy for you to connect to friendliness. So we are imagining them, holding them as an image in our mind. And we don't need to be so perfect about it either. We're just trying to imagine them. Perhaps the image kind of is difficult to create in some way. And that's okay. You're just trying to create the image. And when you're creating the image, you're training your concentration and you're training your sensory clarity. And by allowing the image to be perhaps not so perfect, you are training your equanimity. So we are already training our attentional skills. And then we say to ourselves, may you be safe. May you be safe. And we are seeing them, imagining them as being safe. How would they be if they were safe? How would their facial expression be? How would their How would they be sitting or standing or lying? What kind of place are they in? May you be safe. Next one, may you be happy. And seeing them smiling, perhaps, or seeing there's a shine in their eyes. May you be happy. And may you be healthy, imagining them being healthy. May you be healthy. And may you be peaceful. May you be peaceful. And notice inside the body, how does this feeling of friendliness, of loving kindness, of love and kindness, how does it feel in the body? And perhaps you can't really define it, and that's okay. And you can't really put your finger on exactly how it is, and that's also okay. But just try to listen into the body. How is that? How does it feel, this friendliness? And perhaps saying it again, may you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be peaceful. And some people feel that working with loving kindness feels a bit artificial, kind of creating friendliness or something. And that's quite common, and that's also okay. This is great mindfulness practice, and it really builds the skill of equanimity. So having equanimity with the fact that it feels perhaps a bit artificial also build this skill. We are here just practicing. And let's choose a more neutral person, someone who we don't know so well, perhaps a colleague we don't know so well, or a neighbor perhaps we don't know so well, someone we see quite often, but don't really have a strong relationship to. And imagine this person, this neutral person. Imagine this person being safe. May you be safe. We have this natural kindness towards all people, really. And just let this natural kindness flow by itself. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be happy. Seeing them smile. Perhaps put a smile on your own face. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be healthy. May you be peaceful. May you be peaceful. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. And may you be peaceful. And then ourselves. May I be safe. Say to yourselves, may I be safe. And sense into a basic feeling of security where you are sitting. Perhaps you know that the door is locked, or some other things that remind you that you are safe. May I be safe. May I be happy. Putting a smile on your face. Perhaps it feels artificial. That's okay. Try it out. May I be happy. May I be healthy. So perhaps you're not feeling so healthy, but you're wishing yourself to be healthy. You're showing friendliness towards your health, towards yourself. You want yourself to be healthy. You wish yourself to be healthy. And again, having equanimity with the possible negative emotions there. That's okay. We are wishing ourselves to be healthy anyway. May I be healthy. And may I be peaceful. May I be peaceful. May I be safe. May I be happy. May I be healthy. And may I be peaceful. Yes. And then we can stop the meditation, come back to the room, as we say. So I hope that feels good. We are building a good feeling, cultivating good thoughts, and if you want to learn more, there's an ever-growing library of articles on the mindfulrelief.net website, with articles about chronic pain relief and mindfulness techniques. So it's my ambition that this website is going to be a valuable resource for anyone who wants to learn more about these topics. And also, if you want, it's possible to have guidance from me, either one-to-one personal guidance, or also a group coaching program, which starts this November, which is 12 weeks, with also a one-to-one sessions. We can work individually with adapting mindfulness techniques to your situation. So I hope that's helpful. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you.
It was a great session. So nice to end in that way with the loving kindness. I feel like a beautiful way to start my day here in Scotland. So thank you so much. And people were really thanking you for the document as well. That's a wealth of information in the document. So that's really great. Thank you.
Thank you.
So just to let everybody know, we'd love you to join us in the coffee breaks. So there's coffee breaks that start after each session if you go through the portal, and you'll be able to meet other people from the conference, other attendees, and it's quite interesting to meet people from different countries there. So the link's in the chat. Also to invite you to join us in the Facebook group. So the link will be going into the chat for the Facebook group for the whole conference and also for this channel. And to let you know that we're coming towards the end of the conference, and after the end of the conference, the full package will be going up. So it's twice as expensive come the end of the conference. So obviously there's quite a lot of good learning here, 9 other things on at the same time as this presentation. So there's no way you can digest it all in time. But if you still can't afford that, then it's possible to donate to the conference or to donate to one of the charities that we're supporting. So we're really encouraging that. Coming back to you for your top tip on being embodied, Tord.
My top tip would be that it's possible to train your attentional skills in all situations. And even if you are working on your meditation and you're struggling with it, and you're trying to have concentration, sensory clarity, and equanimity with it, you are training those skills, and they will improve.
Excellent. Thank you so much. That's us at 11 o'clock. So just thank you so much for that. And thanks to everyone who attended. And we'll see you on another call, hopefully.